Hi, Kerry here again with Best of Us Investors, back from our vacation, 2-week vacation down on the beach, something we've been doing for about 34 years. And it was once again wonderful. And once again, we came home and said we need to buy a house down there and move down there. But that's for another video. What I wanted to talk about today was an email that I got from Homer. Homer is one of my tribe members, been with the tribe from early on. He was the individual who convinced me to buy Tesla early on in my YouTube career. He asked me in his email about my opinion on who's going to be the major players in the metaverse, how's it going to be presented, and are these just some more shiny objects that could chase? Because he's basically shared with me over the couple years that he's not a wealthy person, his family's not a wealthy person, but he has adapted one of my goal number 3 of my YouTube channel, and that is to create family wealth. He wants to help those people who follow him have a better life than he has as a result of some good investment decisions that he's made. So he's asked me to dig in a little deeper into some investments in the metaverse. And that's what I want to do today. Try to give you some clarity from my point of view, and that's all it is. I don't know, I'm not an expert on this. I merely have an opinion. My opinion is based on some of my past experience, and that's what I want to share with you. So hang on, I'll be right back with you.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
Homer is up in his years like me, I suspect. And as he said, is this just another bright, shiny object that people are going to chase and nothing's going to come of it? Or is it, like I'm suggesting, a part of the second wave of the digital revolution? And if it is in fact that, who are the players that you need to get involved in, and who should you invest in? And I reflected back on that because I thought it was a very good question, because I do remember the start of the digital revolution, and I remember as it coming to fruition that, number one, it was email, and AOL is not near what it used to be, and it was search engine. And I got to thinking, who were the search engines that preceded Google, and where are they at now? And was that a bright, shiny object that some of us chased? And one of the first ones was, and I remember this, was Alta Vista. Started in 1995, and it is still actually around. Of course, Yahoo, which was the dominant search engine until Google dethroned them, and they are still around. I see them in Yahoo Finance. And then you might remember Ask Jeeves, and that whole theme was ask us any question and we'll give you the answer. That started in 1996, and I don't believe it's around anymore. And then this is one I don't really remember, but they say it's still active, and that was Web Crawler, and it started in 1994. So Homer's question is this another opportunity to invest in a Google, or is it another opportunity to invest in Web Crawler? And who and where should I invest? And then he shared with me a video from a young man by the name of Zach Hartley. And in Zach's video, he's talking about buying property and in the metaverse. And what I think, I've read about this and I understand it. It's basically saying we're going to reinvent real estate. We're going to reinvent a town, and you can come in and buy a token and be on the blockchain, and you can buy a plot of land in this community. And you can do it with whatever you want, and you can develop it and increase its value. And then at some point, you might be able to sell it for more than what it's worth in the currency within that that domain. And he shared these Decentraland, which I've heard of and know about, Sandbox, Axie Infinity, Illuvium, and Roadblocks. Roadblocks I happen to own because it's more of a gaming. And so the theory is, as I understand it, I would buy this, I would hold it as that. Use Sandbox as an example. I think their token was actually called Sand. I would buy so many tokens at like $2.20 a piece, and I would buy a piece of land, and it might cost 1,000 tokens, and I would own it. And then as that community, the Sandbox, developed, theoretically, the value of my land would go up, and I could develop it and make it maybe a billboard or that I could then sell advertising on. And that's his take on the metaverse. I don't happen to agree this is how it's going to happen. And I tend to, in my mind, I see the metaverse will follow a path similar to the path that my phone and the introduction of apps. I own an Android phone, and I use that phone to make phone calls, to share messages, and then I started putting apps on it. I just recently used the Zillow app as I was looking for property at the beach, and I saw that Google made that app available to me. And if you have an Apple phone, Apple would make that app available to you. And then there would be advertising sold on that app. And as I understand it, Google and Apple share with Zillow in that advertising revenue. And that's how the app works. Well, I think that's the initial introduction to the metaverse will be. I did a video just the other day, as I said, about the sun rising, and I was on the beach down there and said that roughly 10,000 people would be on that beach later in the day as the sun came up and it warmed up, but there would be billions of people who would never have access to that beach. Now, the thousands that would have the beach, that traveled to it, probably had a price tag of close to $1,000 a day to spend time on that beach. How does that happen? They got to rent a place. They got to eat. They got to rent those chairs that they have on the beach. They got to drive there. So there is a cost with having that luxury of that beach. What I believe is going to happen is somebody is going to monetize that beach in an app, but it will be called a metaverse app, and it will give you and I and people in South Africa and Alaska access to that beach as in a virtual world. They will be able to walk that beach and meet other people. They will be able to be themselves, or they may be able to be someone else. Well, what is that like? It's exactly what it's like if you're there. Because recognize, your life is not this. Your life happens up here. It is your perception of what's going on around you. It is your visual, your audio, and your touch, and your smell intake that tells you what is actually happening around you. Well, if I can transport you to that beach and give you all those things, touch, smell, audio, feel, if I can give you all those things, then can't you experience it? The difference is you then will determine if this is the avatar, if this is the image you present, or maybe you want to present a different image and attract different people. Let's take that to realistic. Let's assume I'm a 260-pound, 5'5" individual, and I don't have many girlfriends. I don't get to enjoy the activities of people who are slender and muscular and handsome. that other people do. Well, I can be that slender, handsome, muscular person on the beach through my avatar. Now, I don't know that the young lady or the young man that I interact with is, in fact, what I see them being, but it really doesn't matter because the experience is here, not there. Now, that's where I think how the metaverse is going to materialize. Now, who's going to bring me the beach? I don't know. It might be somebody who goes down there and pays someone to put a bunch of sensors and video cameras and create the infrastructure to make that beach happen. Now, if, as I said, it costs $1,000 for a day for me to do it, but I can buy it for $1 through the metaverse, that's what I'm going to do. Now, if tomorrow I want to go skiing in Vail for $1 a day, that's what I'm going to do. And I might meet somebody else, and I might take another form when I go there. So my question is, who presented me the apps? Well, Zillow created a company. There's a company called that I use regularly, VBRO, Vacation Rental by Owner. They present the app. Now, to make that more appropriate for the metaverse, they may get engaged with a company called Matterport, which will then create the 3D video interaction that I can move through. Then someone else has to create the bot or the individual who's going to show me that property. But that's how it's going to come. Now, is it going to be Decentraland or Sandbox or Roadblocks who present that to me? I don't think so. I think it's going to be Google or Apple, just the same people who are giving me the apps that I have on their phone. And why would it be them? They got the money. They've got the data. They've got the technology. So I'm not going to buy Decentraland or Sandbox, or I'm going to own Roblox because they're already in it in a different format. I'm not going to buy a little box on a picture of a map of a city and bet that that's going to gain some value, because I don't think it is. No, I think you invest, at least for now, in the big six: Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and NVIDIA. Those are the safe bets right now. And I would wager at this point, the Decentraland, the Sandbox, the Axie Infinity are the Ultra Vistas, the Yahoos, the SGs, and the web crawlers of 1994 through 1995. I don't think they're going to play. I don't think they're big enough. I don't think they're strong enough. And I don't think they can capture me. Now, what I do believe has to happen is someone has to build this infrastructure. Somebody has to make all this come together. And I think the real important part is that somebody has to bring my data that is held by Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Facebook together so that I can control my avatar. And if I choose, I can have one avatar that can move amongst all these platforms. That avatar can go to the beach. It can go climb the Alps. It can jump out of an airplane. It can do all these things, and I can experience all these things in my head, because that is truly where I live. I don't live here, and I don't live on the beach. I live in my head. And the experiences I have come from my seven senses. And the more senses that the metaverse can give me is going to measure how successful it's going to be. Now, what I also recognize is some people will never again go to the real world. We're going to have some real psychological problems of people who sit in a dark room with sunglasses on and live in a virtual world with a total different identity and a total different lifestyle, and they have their food and water brought in. Okay, Homer, that's where I think this is going. So it's not advice, because I'm not a financial advisor. My take on it is this is going to be owned by the big boys. And there will be some new big boys, and that's what we have to look for. And I think the first one of those is NVIDIA. And I think that needs to be in your big six. From there, we just got to keep our ear to the ground and our eye to the YouTube and the Wall Street Journal and 60 Minutes and understand this world is changing. And is this a 10-year program? No. This is a process. This is a process that's going to evolve. And you will start seeing the evolution of it. And again, Zillow with Matterport is a first step. And then it will build upon that. And you will find within the next 1 to 2 years opportunities to move further in. And I think you're going to see it first on Facebook. I think you're going to see where you're going to go to Thanksgiving dinner and you're going to be surrounded by your family, but you're going to have some glasses on and they're not going to be in the same room with you. But you will hear them, you will see them, you will be able to touch them, and I don't know, maybe you'll be able to smell them too. Maybe you'll be able to smell that turkey when it's put on the table. Okay? Homer, that's where I think this is going. And I hope that kind of clarifies what the shining objects are and what the real gems are, because this is a gem. Homer, I have no doubt about it, that if you and I live long enough, our world's going to change dramatically. And if you and I, as old as we are, Homer, if we want to climb the Alps, or if we want to go to Machu Picchu, or if we want to walk through the Louvre in Paris, we'll be able to do it. And then go out and have an espresso on the Chantel whatever, okay? That's my take on it, Homer. And anybody else, if you've got some questions and you'd like me to do a video on it, I'd like to do a video on it. I'd like you to join my tribe and help me figure this out, because we're going to make the best of this. We have a community now. We have an ability that we did not have 10 years ago, and that is to share information. Right now, this is a one-way conversation. That's got to stop, and that will stop. It'll stop in the metaverse, and it'll stop in the tribe. Best of us investors. Talk to you again tomorrow.